good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
What's greetings, Earthlings? What up? What up? What up?
Any demographic I
Greetings,
identify with.
Earthlings. They're connected to our president.
I think an ignorant voter and a non-voter
Crazy what he did. He took the military out
are
before
one and
he
the
took
same.
the civilians. Who does that?
Under his watch.
What
Know
has he
something.
done about police reform in this country? Nothing.
Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome to Unsolicited Genius. I am your curator, Carlton Ennis, and I am joined by the sports guru's guru, Mo Lotfi. On today's show, we will talk about the state of our union, the Super Bowl, and 50 years of hip hop. We hope to give you something to ponder. What up, Mo? What is going on with you, my brother?
What's good, my brother? How are you, man?
All is well. All is well. Anything you want to get off your mind before we hop into the show?
Nah, man. You know my Niners are out, so
Yeah. We shouted you out with some condolences last week. How did you how you feel in the first full weekend without real football? We had the Pro Bowl, but yeah.
I mean, no, it's always sad when it's the end because Sunday's just not the same without football. So, but for my Niners, man, I'm proud of them boys, man. You're not gonna win many games with your fourth-string quarterback that hasn't played in 10 years, and you put him in against the Phillies' ferocious pass rush. That's the only thing, man. It's not like I felt like it would be an easy task to go into there and win the game. I just wanted to see it with our quarterback, like with Purdy.
Yeah, with Purdy.
And, you know, let the chips fall where they may in that situation. But to watch Josh Johnson get in the game and then have to bring Purdy in and he can't even throw the ball 5 yards. It's like he played without a quarterback the whole game. So that was a bit frustrating, man.
I'm sorry.
That was the part that was frustrating.
I'm sorry, homie. All right.
They overcame all those injuries all year, but
but then
not this one.
The last one, and you was in Philly, so you know, let the people know that you love your team, you support your team. So,
yeah, man, shout out to the Philly fans, man. I always have a good time with them. They don't bother me. So,
okay. All right, my dude. Headliners: the State of the Union address is tomorrow. So much has happened in the last 2 weeks, week to 2 weeks, let alone the overall state of our union. So I thought we'll just share some unsolicited perspective as to what we think is happening with the state of our union. So what say you?
I mean, the state of our union is a union in regression. Look what's going on in Georgia and Florida. And, you know, the amazing part of it, man, is these Republican-run states, especially in the South, they're always telling you about how less government is better. But now they're interjecting government into every aspect of your life, including the education and the university systems. And I mean, DeSantis is just dangerous to me, man. Like, he's just out there, in my opinion. But I mean, in Georgia, man, they're thinking about making a law where 2% of the people could recall a DA, an elected official that's a district attorney in the county. So on the whim of you don't like who they're prosecuting, you could just have 2% of the people basically vote to have another election and remove this person. Republicans love to bash socialism and fascism, but a lot of these Republican states are moving more and more towards fascism.
So for me, for others, how well can you explain fascism?
That's a difficult thing to explain. But so if socialism is the idea like everyone benefits from the society, fascism is kind of similar, but it has more of a, I don't know how I would say this, Carlton, like a dictatorial feel to it. Like it feels like it's the government, you know, dictating to the people how it's going to be. That's what I would say.
Right.
In
And
a
you know,
layman's term.
That would be as far as I would probably say that I understand it. I know we have in history, we have fascist Stalin, some other names come up, but you know, it's another governance structure, I guess, or depending on what book you read, they even call these they refer to them as religions, capitalism, socialism, but in context, it's another government structure that is different from democracy. At its core, democracy is the voice of the people, vote upon, being heard. The government acts under the guise of the people.
And like, so, you know, socialism really focuses on like the individual in the society, right? Fascism is about the nation. Like, there's no individual greater. It's all about the nation and
Right.
what's best for the
Right.
nation. But usually what happens in fascism is the problem with it is it becomes one person is deciding what's best for the nation or for the people. And I'm not sure that really translates to being the people's will.
Right. Okay. All right. Well,
You know, some aspects I believe of socialism, Carlton, are warranted. Like, you know, we have socialist aspects of our government. People just don't want to recognize them. For example, Social Security would be a socialism program. Obamacare for sure. You know, I don't have a problem with some socialist programs. We could still be a democratic society that has socialist programs that try to look out for individuals that are not as well off in the society as others. I don't have a problem with that. Fascism, to me, the problem is, like I said, it usually centers around one person or one group or one entity deciding what's best for the people. And that's never a good form of government.
yeah, I think to that point you just made, to come back to the State of the Union, you used it's regressing, and I would use that it's broken. I think, you know, we're a democratic society, but we're an uninformed democracy, and we have politicians now on both sides, but as you talked about, it's probably most egregious in the Republican Party, but we have politicians on both sides that clearly have no interest in the well-being of the people. They get voted in by any means necessary, and once in office, they simply just, I would say, do what they want, but they do the bidding of the highest bidder. And as that has perpetuated itself year over year, term over term, you get the shenanigans that are our government, local, state, and federal.
I just think, man, like, I don't know. You know, to me, like a guy like DeSantis, for example, is trying to rewrite history and delete parts of the history to make it as it almost didn't occur, which is dangerous, man, because, you know, history is our greatest teacher. Like, history is the greatest teacher to avoid the mistakes that have been made in the past. But Carlton, see, and this is where I think they're showing their true colors in a lot of ways. They don't think those past mistakes were mistakes. Like, you know, that is the kind of society that they've always wanted to always get back to. And I feel a lot of these people want to get back to a society where the white male is well above, on top of the food chain, and everyone else is scrapping for crumbs.
You know, the interesting thing about that for me is, one, I think you're right based on governance and how it's unfolding, but it's the number of people who at their core don't want those things, but consistently vote against their best interests simply because they vote down a party line. And so those who are in office, they're fully aware of that dynamic. And so they are nominated or what have you, they campaign, they run, get in the office by any means necessary, appease to the minds, appease to the people as best as they know how, and then they get in the office and totally do what is not in the best interest of the people who put them in the office.
I mean, yeah, like if you're a poor white person, my question to you, because you know, the great question we hear all the time is, what has the Democrat done for Black people and all of this, right? I pose a different question, man. If you're a poor white person, what the hell have the Republicans ever done for you? Name me one thing that they've ever done to benefit your poor ass, because Trump looks down on you. DeSantis looks down on you. To them, they view you as your lower class that provides them their janitors and their workers of this ilk. What have they done for you? What have they ever done for you? And you could take it all the way back to slavery. You know, everyone thinks white people had slaves in the South during that time. No, slaves were expensive as shit. A slave, a good slave, cost you $1,500 to $2,000 per slave. Carlton, if you adjust that for inflation, you're looking at $250,000. If you had 4 slaves, you had $1 million right there. The slaves, and this is the only time in this country's history where you had something that was more valuable than the damn land. The slaves were more valuable than the land that they were working. So 75% of white people didn't own one damn slave, not a one. But when the Civil War breaks out, guess who the majority of the people fighting the war are? The ones that didn't own a slave. They're fighting this war under the ideal of, that'll be me one day. One day I'll be a slave owner and I'll have me a big old plantation and I'll be rolling in the money and I'll set up my family for wealth. But never once did those 25% that had slaves, never once did they walk over there to those poor white people and say, hey, I'll give you one of my slaves. Hey, I'll give you some of my land. Hey, I'll help you out in your situation. Never once did they do that. But when the war came, these people went out there on the front lines to protect the 1%, the 1% at the top. And that's still true today. These poor white folks, like Carlton, I'm sick and tired of people talking about the Black vote. The Democrats need to go out and get the poor white vote. That's the vote that they keep ignoring, that they're not getting, that they need to appeal to. It's not the Black vote, it's the poor white vote that's keeping this country from progressing.
So the psychological warfare, so to speak, that we see unfolding today, to your point, has been happening against us and against poor white folk since the early years of
but poor white folks are getting more screwed than Black folks, because Black folks see the enemy. We know who the enemy is now. We're well aware of who the enemy is. These poor white people don't see him as an enemy. They see him as an ally, because they feed them with this is your country, this nationalist crap that they keep giving them, that these people are the ones keeping you back. Like the perfect example would be immigration, right? To me, because these people are screaming, these Mexicans are coming in here illegally, they're taking our jobs. They're taking our job. They're taking our job. They blame the poor Mexican that comes here to make a living to feed his family. Why don't they blame the corporation that hires that poor Mexican to take advantage of both of you, to keep you out of employment and to give him a lesser wage because he's an illegal citizen in this country? You never hear them say we're going after that person, Carlton. They never complain about the corporations hiring these people. It's always the Mexican. He's taking my job because he'll do it for a lesser wage and get paid under the table. But isn't the company the one paying him under the table? Isn't the American company the one that's giving the Mexican the job? If American companies didn't hire illegal aliens, Carlton, guess what? Mexican people stop coming here.
You wouldn't have opportunities.
Yeah, they're coming here because there's an opportunity, and they know that these companies will pay them, even though it's a lesser wage than an American would get, it's still payment. So the blame that these people put on for their lot in life is so misguided, man. It is so misguided. And Democrats' inability to highlight this to them in order to get that, because Carlton, I don't care. Like, I'm serious, dog. I don't care if they sit in their living room and they call us N-word this and N-word that, and think they're better than us. Just vote in your best interest so it can help my people out that are struggling too.
So let me ask this, right? So we, in tracking everything that you just said, understanding the historic dynamic of the mental warfare that's unfolded and continuing to unfold. At this point, shouldn't we just accept that the Democrats, though two sides, two parties, are also a part of the same warfare, for the mere fact that they consistently do not articulate that message, consistently ignore this group, knowing that everything that they claim to represent will ultimately benefit minorities, poor white folks. The only time, and I asked before you respond, I asked because the only time where I saw the nation galvanized, and it still was a close election, was when Obama ran, because he pulled out everybody, pulled out everything. So he won despite the ineptitude of the Democratic Party.
But I mean, his second election, I mean, he absolutely destroyed him. I mean, that wasn't even a contest.
Who was that?
Between
Romney?
him and
Romney.
Yeah, between him and Romney was an absolute just blowout. But
well, I mean, it wasn't like 70-30. That's what I mean.
No, but he beat McCain handily as well. But Carlton, what I'm saying to you is, a lot of times these Democrats, these liberals, they thumb their nose down at poor people. They do believe they're better than them because they're educated and all of this. What percent of the country has a college education? 25, 35% of the country? So when you take this attitude on, right, this smug attitude, this air of invincibility because we're educated and we know what's best, yeah, you're not going to appeal to them. That's not going to appeal to them. They feel like you're thumbing your nose down on them. In a lot of ways they are. In a lot of ways they are. If 25 to 35% of the country has a college education, that means that anywhere from 75 to 65% of the country is uneducated. If you're trying to win an election, you might want to tap into that vote. Not uneducated, but not college educated. I apologize. You might want to tap into that vote.
Maybe.
It would be kind of helpful. Because, dog, that's all Trump did. He rallied these poor people under this guise of, look at you, look where you're at. The problem with Trump was he's one of the people that's keeping you at the bottom. The reason why you're there is because of people like Trump.
And his organization hires immigrants. So,
but he easily made it seem like I'm your ally because he empathized with them. He empathized. He made them feel like this guy gets it. This guy understands me. Even though if you researched him, you realize he built this empire by hiring mom and pop construction companies to build these buildings. And then instead of paying them, he claimed bankruptcy.
That's how the rich get richer.
Yeah, by keeping the poor poorer. That's how they get richer.
So I wanted to come back. You know, we still State of the Union. You say regressing, I say broken. And then we have DeSantis. So
I don't disagree with you. It's broken, but it's regressing and it's broken.
No, it's both. I think the answer is both. The answer is both because, you know, we had last week the Memphis police, that indicative of a regression. And then with DeSantis being, you know, it's Black History Month. Shout out to, you know, Black folk, Black History Month. You're closer to it than I am. What is DeSantis, not what he says he's doing, because he gets on the mic and says all these shenanigans stuff, but what ultimately is he doing with the Black history, the Black studies, and the grade level, college level? What is he doing from your vantage point?
Trying to eliminate it? It's trying to rewrite the history with this nonsense of it makes. Like, man, if I have to hear one more of these people talk about when they teach this in schools, it makes our white kids feel bad. When in your life, how old are you now?
I just turned 44.
Happy belated birthday, man. In 44 years of living, have you ever heard anyone say, man, God, this white curriculum really makes these Black kids feel bad. We need to change it.
I have not.
The kids are fine, man. The kids are fine. You use the history to teach the kids that behavior was improper so we can move forward as a better society. Why would, like, it's like, should you feel guilt for what occurred in your religion? Like Carlton, for those that don't know, is a Catholic. You know, should he feel guilt for what the Catholic Church has done throughout its history, even though he had nothing to do with that?
I don't.
Like when I walked in the Vatican, you know, everyone's marveling at and you know, very blessed to have had the opportunity to walk through the Vatican. And you walk in and you're like, my God, look at this marble, look at this gold.
It's a lot of money.
It's like it's so overwhelming in its opulence. And you're just like, and everyone's marveling at it, Carlton. And I lean over and I whisper to my wife, and you know, we're in the Vatican. I shouldn't have cussed, but I was like, man, all this shit's stolen. Like, they stole all this shit in the name of God. So should Carlton feel bad because way back then they were stealing gold and marble out of the Roman Colosseum to build their little Vatican city? No, because he had nothing to do with that. Should Jews feel bad that they allegedly turned Jesus over to the Romans, depending on what you believe? No, that had nothing to do with them. So this nonsense about this makes our white kids feel bad. Like, what are we talking about?
Right.
If your kid is in the backyard and he has a slave and he's cracking the whip, yeah, he should feel bad. But unless he's doing that, why would he feel bad if that's not how you're raising this young man or young woman to be? Just and Jonae put a point there. How do you stop DeSantis? Shit, you got to move out of Florida, homie. Like, because the way Florida's going, he is using that to catapult his bigger political ambitions, and he's not going to stop. And he has full control in Florida. The only problems he's running into is like legality. Like he's forgetting these things actually have to be legal.
Right. There's laws. There's laws that govern your behavior.
Look at the AP, like African American course. You know, he purposely sneaks in. Like they purposely put in the part about queer theory to try to get Black folks that are homophobic to be against the.
Well, that's that. And when I talk about the you know, in gaining your perspective and not trying to repeat his, those are the things that I mean. Like to watch him talk about the rationale behind his decision. The two aren't related, but he's found a way to merge them to galvanize the support for him to continue moving and doing what it is. He knows I can get white
people easily because it's called African American studies. Now, how do I get some Black people on my side to be like, I'm against this?
Right.
Let's include queer theory in there because he's hoping to play off the fact that some Black folk are homophobic.
Yeah, because and the reality is, you know, in Black history, there's homosexual men, women, queer men, women who had huge impact on our history. And so tell us, you know, unless it's specifically about their sexuality, it's about what the impact did. But DeSantis and those that align with him will use whatever they can to achieve their ultimate objective.
I mean, DeSantis is and if you look at the curriculum for the course, it's outstanding. I mean,
so there's some good stuff in it.
Oh my God,
there's good stuff in it.
It's so good. It's just like it's out of this world good, in my opinion, man. And what I would say to white folks that are against the program is tell your kids to sit down and actually listen. Sit down and listen. It's not to make them feel guilty, but maybe you know what I feel one of their biggest fears is. Like these kids find out how their people got money. Like That is to me
that's
one of their biggest fears, is that these white children will go down this rabbit hole, they get their curiosity piqued, and rich white kids, and start wondering, how did my family get to this stage in life? How did we accumulate all this generational wealth from generation to generation to generation? And then when they trace it back, it ends at some damn plantation.
I give you a clap. You get a clap on that one, because you know, for us for you to make the statement that the kids are all right, you know that I believe that. I'm not in the classrooms, you're in the classroom, Joe, Nitty, Craig, y'all in the classroom, so y'all know the status, the mindset of the kids. But so we know the reason isn't the kids' well-being, but it does involve the kids, but because knowledge is power. And so for the kids to have that knowledge, it then gives them more power to go ask more questions, to go down, use Google to research their name, ancestry.com, whatever, 23andMe, whatever it is. They have the ability to find out the truth in their lineage, the truth in their history, and then in turn create accountabilities that the people we're talking about don't want to have.
Yep. Yeah, I'm almost convinced it's not about their kids feeling guilty. It's they don't want their kids to know how they came up as people.
Yes. If that's not the only reason, that is one of the prime top of the line reasons for sure.
If we trace the richest families in America, I'm pretty sure we can all go back to some form of slavery that benefited them, that allowed them to, because even if you weren't in the South, if you were in the North, you got to buy this cotton for the cheap.
It's the textiles,
because the labor was
cotton.
free, and then you were turning into textiles, selling it all over the world. Like even though the North was like slavery was wrong, they weren't like, hey, we'll pay more for the cotton if you pay the workers. They didn't say that.
They did not say that.
They weren't like, we insist on you paying the workers. We'll pay top dollar for the cotton. No. They didn't say that. They were getting rich too. The government told the Republicans of the time, which are the Democrats of today, were, oh, slavery's awful. But hey, if you're gonna call those slaves property, where's our tax? Where's our tax? Everybody came up off slavery except for the black people. The white man passed down wealth, slaves, and land to his children, while the black man passed his children down into slavery and shit. Most of the time, he didn't even get to see his child get raised.
Nope.
No, black people are so young in making money in this country, Carlton. We're infants in making money in this country.
And you know, the majority, we're infants, and that's reflected in the average age of the millionaire. And most, if not all, ethnicities other than black, the average age is, 40 something. Ours is in the 20s, 30s, because who are amongst our communities, the millionaires, the athletes, and the musicians. So it's infancy for us, and we're infants in it compared to others. But we doing our thing.
And they're like, Doc, they're sitting here talking about take this out of the curriculum, take this. Look how pissed off white people are that these college kids are getting paid now. Like, that shit is embarrassing to me. Like, you know why though, Carlton? Because you hate to see a young black kid come up.
Yep.
You wanted him out there playing for free, for the love of the game, for the love of your school. But now that there's NIL and they can move whenever they want, oh, they've ruined the game I love. Damn the game you love. They made billions of dollars for these schools. And they got paid under the table, obviously, before. But now they're out in the open getting $13 million deals, $15 million deals, and people out here pocket watching. Oh, he hasn't played like this. They love this art. He hasn't even played a down of college football, Carlton. He hasn't. Well, if someone offered your ass $13.8 million to do your job and you would never do it before, you're turning that down. That's what you're telling me?
Nope. I am not.
What happened to the great ideal of capitalism in this country?
It's still here.
Young white
It's
kids
still
get on
here.
YouTube. Logan Paul, Jake Paul, they get on YouTube. They make millions. Nobody complains. Nobody says anything. But these young black kids who are out there playing a violent game, that's where they draw the line. It's too much. It's got to be regulated. We got to get the government involved. We love this game. Shut up, man. Shut up.
All right. Well, we started with the State of our Union. Clearly, there's a lot to it. So I'll be, I'm not a fan of the State of the Union, but I'm curious to see how what Biden
America,
has to say
listen
tomorrow.
to me, man. I'm not trying to watch Biden bumble and stumble for 3 hours.
I'm gonna
What
watch.
I'm gonna do is read the article that tells me what happened in the State of the Union.
I'm gonna watch.
Oh, he's a painful speaker now.
I'm too curious. I want to see that too, because he hasn't said whether he is or isn't running again. And so I want to be fully informed of what I'm working with.
Well, he's not going to make that announcement tomorrow, but okay.
They said it. Somewhere I read said that he might allude to it. We might learn more, but
and I've said this before, man. Biden, Trump, if these boys are going to run again, when they say they need to run, they need to knock on wood. Like, hopefully we're here. Hopefully they're here for it. God willing.
All right. Well, we'll leave it at that. We'll take a break and be right back. Welcome back to Unsolicited Genius. This is What in the Sports. All right, Uncle Mo, we started the show talking about the 49ers. Great season. Sorry it had to end the way it did. Purdy, get better, come back, do your thing. I hope you have a Hall of Fame career, because you did that. You showed us a lot. But we got the Eagles and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. It's been a long season, a lot of football been played. Kind of probably thought the Chiefs would be in it down the stretch. A lot of people kind of probably thought the Eagles would be somewhere close to it in the stretch. So not a huge surprise who we have in there this time around. But what's your prediction?
I'll probably go with the Eagles, man. The Eagles, to me, have a much better roster than the Chiefs. The Chiefs' ace in the hole is Mahomes. So I think the Eagles are going to be able to get to Mahomes, man. The Eagles' secondary is no joke. And if they're able to get to Mahomes, that'll be the game, man.
I look at it, how did I phrase it? Mahomes offense, the Chiefs offense for the Eagles defense, slight advantage to the Eagles defense, but Mahomes got magic. So, I'll say, for me, I'll get at break even because of Mahomes' magic, even though the Eagles' skill is top notch. But the Eagles offense versus the Chiefs defense, I don't like it if I'm a Chiefs fan, because they scored. I know the quarterback play, the lack of production on the offense had something to do with the outcome or the scoring in the 49ers game. But needless to say, that was the best defense in the NFL at that point in time.
The Niners?
Yeah.
And I don't think the Eagles did anything like spectacular that day on offense, man, to be honest with you. I just felt like the Eagles realized after Purdy got hurt, like, we don't really need to do much to win this game. Yeah. So, but if you look at Hurt's numbers in the Niners game, he wasn't killing the Niners or anything.
No,
it
wasn't spectacular, but they scored. They made throws, they caught passes, they made plays. And the Chiefs defense is not the 49ers defense. So
Okay, but
That's where I
for
foresee the
example,
problem.
the Niners offense, their inability to move the ball just kept putting the
Short of
Philly
field,
offense in.
That's true.
Like, look at the end
That's
of the
true.
half. The four-string guy just dropped the damn ball. Like, he just fumbled. Like, no one even touched him. And then he was somehow unable to recover it, even though it was just
he
him and the
looked at
ball.
it. He was looking at it like he didn't want to get it. Like he thought maybe the play was over.
The game right there goes from a 14-7 game to 21-7 at half, and you just know it's over.
And so it was 10 more points.
You know, Mahomes is not about to go out there and do that. But I do agree with you. I feel like the Eagles offense will have a much easier time scoring on the Chiefs defense. And the Chiefs offense will have scoring on the Eagles defense. The Eagles, to me, just top down, man, are just the better roster. Mahomes, Magic, and all of that is going to be a factor. But at the end of the day, that pressure is coming, man. And you and I both know if you can hit the quarterback, it doesn't matter if it's Mahomes, Brady. You can hit him, and you can consistently hit him. You're going to mess with him. Look at Mahomes in the Super Bowl against Tampa. He wasn't Magic Mahomes that day.
Yeah, he was running for his life. So, nah, I if I was betting, I would bet for the Eagles. I don't bet, so I'm cheering hard for the Chiefs. But, I hope for a good game. I hope for a great game. It's the last one of the season, so.
I mean, I don't know what I'm going for, dog, because, I saw a ridiculous Instagram debate where a gentleman claimed that he's like a fantasy doctor. I know fantasy players probably follow him on Instagram. So he gives a lot of advice on injuries, to help fantasy players during the season. But he had one hell of a take, man. He said, if Mahomes gets this Super Bowl, he's got him as the GOAT. That's crazy.
I've seen the lists, or I've been with, they've talked lists recently, quarterbacks, and so a couple of the guys, if they've laid their top 5 greatest, a couple of them have had
Dan
Mahomes
Orlovsky
on
was
there
doing cocaine.
Yeah, that's the one I saw most recent, and he left
Dan
off Joe
Orlovsky
Montana.
was on cocaine.
Because who did he say? He said Brady, Elway, Marino, Mahomes.
All you need to know about Dan Orlovsky
and Matt Stafford.
He didn't have Joe Montana in his top 5.
Did he have Matt Stafford? Did he?
No. It was
Stafford. Who was the?
It was
fifth?
Brady 1. It was like Mahomes 2. Then he had Elway, Manning, Marino.
Manning, that's what it was. He had Stafford as the top 5 right now, active quarterbacks.
But when confronted about the Montana, why he leaves Montana out, he gives some BS excuse about, I didn't really watch him like that, but he's in the same era as Elway and Marino.
Right.
Like, he beat both of them boys in the Super Bowl.
Right. And Elway didn't get his Super Bowl until the end.
The other argument he was making is, he doesn't have the numbers of these guys. But, like, if my life was on the line and I needed one quarterback to lead me down the field to save my life, give me Joe Montana.
Right.
Give me Joe Montana, man. I give it to Brady because the compliments are outstanding. But even in the Brady-Mahomes debate, it's like, come on, man. Like, Brady beat Mahomes in the AFC Championship game in Kansas City. Brady beat Mahomes in the Super Bowl with Tampa Bay. Now, obviously, it's a team game, but when their history comes, that still happened. He still got him in those games. And now, one of the gentlemen said, there was a questionable roughing the passer call in the New England game. And I say, shit, there's a lot of questionable calls in the Cincinnati-Kansas City game that just happened, including a play where they got to replay a hold down. So the questionable calls thing, man, is just part of the game. I just don't if you told me you believe Mahomes was the most talented quarterback to ever play the game, I could roll with that. But to say he's the GOAT quarterback if he wins this Super Bowl, just yet. Silly, man.
Not yet.
Just silly. Dog, not for a long time. 2 is a long way from 7.
What I'm saying is he great? Yes. Is he the most talented quarterback that I've seen? You know,
Sure.
he very well might be, but it's a long way before he can get to the GOAT. So if that's in his future, he ain't there yet.
It's a long way before, to me, we start just talking top five. You can't just throw people willy-nilly all into the top. Now, there was a time where a second-year gentleman from the University of Pittsburgh, he was a second-year NFL quarterback, University of Pittsburgh, led his team to the Super Bowl. Everyone thought he was the most gifted passer the world has ever produced, and they predicted he'd be back in this game and win many of them. And Dan Marino never came back. Never came back to the Super Bowl. So this notion that because the Chiefs are in their third Super Bowl in 4 years and this is going to continue, like, you don't know that.
That ain't guaranteed.
This could be
it. It is not guaranteed.
When Aaron Rodgers won his first Super Bowl, do you think he thought that was it? He didn't think that was it.
It looked like you think he's going to be a Raider? Do you care where he lands?
Oh, I'm so damn tired of Aaron Rodgers. Like, if he's a Raider, are the Raiders going to win the Super Bowl? No. So I don't care where he lands.
No. Yeah,
the only thing that would do for me is move Devontae Adams up my fantasy board. That's all that would do.
Yeah, touche. Yeah, he definitely got to be a target. I don't know what it does for me because, I got Jacobs and Chubb. And so Chubb's going to get a full year of Deshaun Watson. Is Jacobs, if he stays, as of right now, he's still a Raider. So if he stays a Raider, can I expect him to do what he did this year? And I don't know.
Nope.
I don't know. It was a contract year, so I don't know.
I mean, and the Raiders absolutely ran him into the ground.
Yeah, they did.
Gave him like 300 plus touches this year, man.
And he was in a passing game too. So he got his touches. So
definitely took a lot of hits this year. All
right. So prediction of the Eagles right now, for sure, cheering for the Chiefs. Reason to cheer for Jalen Hurts. I ain't gonna be mad if he get one. First Super Bowl, 2 black quarterbacks. So, you can't go totally wrong, except for the fact I can't stand the Eagles. So that's part of it. All right. So football almost over. You got anything in the NBA season that you'll be watching for when we officially engage? Anything you excited to see, intrigued to see?
Well, I've been following it. Periodically. But, as soon as the Super Bowl's over, I'm all into the NBA. And I'm just happy Kyrie didn't go to the Lakers. I'm so damn tired of the Lakers fans thinking they're about to get every player to come there. I'm happy Craig is sad that Kyrie didn't go to the Lakers. I don't know what this does for Dallas. It depends on, if Kyrie's invested or not. If he's invested, the West is wide open. So, the East, not so much. But the West is wide open. The interesting part is here, what's Durant's move? What is Kevin Durant going to do? And just one note on Kyrie, man. Like, Jesus. Like, what would it take to make Kyrie Irving happy? Like I'm not sure I understand what. He's in Cleveland, right? He wins the championship with LeBron. He's miserable. He demands to be traded off Cleveland after they win the championship.
Right.
He goes to Boston. He's a complete disaster in Boston to the point where they somehow get better without one of the best basketball players in the world on their team.
Yeah.
Brooklyn, he handpicks the GM. He gets to pick the coach. He gets to play with his boy, and it was a disaster.
It wasn't enough.
A lot of that disaster was of his doing. And I'm not talking about the Jewish link, because I've stated
what you talking about?
Many times, to me that was way overblown. And it was really an attack on who he is as a person, as an excuse to distance themselves from Kyrie, in my opinion. But, the vaccine thing too, Carlton, it's like, to me, if this is just me personally, if I have you come to Brooklyn to play basketball with me and I have to get vaccinated so we could play, I feel like I kind of like owe it to you out of a sense of loyalty. But, you know, still his body, his choice. And it was stupid too. Like the NBA's rule was so, like New York's rule was so dumb too, Carlton, because it made no sense. Why couldn't the home team player play, but the road team player that was unvaccinated could play? Like, just like from a logical standpoint.
Employment rules, yeah.
It
No,
just
I hear
sounds
you.
dumb. It just
Yeah.
sounds dumb.
Yeah,
So
and it took him a long time to fix that, but
take away the COVID year. In Kyrie's career, he's never played more than 60 games in a season.
mhm.
And it's not always because he's hurt. He just like decides to take weeks off to do God knows
Just
what.
kick it.
Yeah,
Everybody
man.
like
It's
to
just
kick
like
it. I like to kick it.
and he spends this time, you know, educating us on how brilliant he is and how much we have to learn from him and how the earth is flat and blah blah blah. So I'm not a big fan of Mr. Kyrie Irving. He's a hell of a basketball player, though.
Yeah,
He's a
you
hell
know,
of a basketball player.
I like Luka. You know, my relationship with Dallas is only negatively impacted because of the Cowboys. So I ain't got no beef with Dallas. I don't mind, you know, I can cheer here and there for the Mavericks. So I'm curious to see how that plays out.
I mean, the problem
I
for them
think-
is neither one of those boys plays any defense.
You're right. You know, I'm not predicting championship, but you know, Luka needed help. They got some help. Let's see what they do.
I mean, they're closer to the championship now, but the problem is, man, if you don't pay this guy, you risk him saying his calf is sore, and if you do pay this guy, you're kind of at his mercy because he's
You
just
risk
kind of
him saying his calf is sore. So
yeah, he's a
one way or the
flake.
other.
Like he's very flaky on his commitment to being a professional to me.
I am second half NBA seasons. Let's just say after the All-Star break. I think, you know,
Way past the first half, dog. We're like into 50+ games.
What I've noticed, I call it halftime, but what I've noticed is that, you know, there's not a dominating team. There's a lot of at or hovering around 500 records of teams that have made the playoffs, teams projecting to make the playoffs. So, you know, good or bad, I ain't calling that, but I do think it will make for competitive basketball down the stretch.
It's going to be competitive.
So
nobody knows who's about to win this championship.
That's what I like. Even, you know, as good as Boston has looked, they've been brought back down to earth. Milwaukee is has been brought back down to earth. You know, Philly you know, they got a lot of good things going, but again, it ain't, you know, a guarantee that, you know, they're going to dominate when they go out. Then that's talking on the East Coast. On the West, Golden State, you can see flashes of their greatness, but something's off in their system. We all, you know, the Lakers, you talking about, you tired of them thinking they're getting everybody. I'm tired of Lakers being on TV. Every week, every 2-3 times a week, the Lakers are the nationally broadcast basketball game. So, but Ja Morant's still out there. You know, they have, you know, again, they have their struggles. We don't talk about Portland as much. I'm not even sure how Portland is doing, but I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be some competitive basketball. So, you know, once we get to March, however much of the season's left, that's when I think it's going to be real exciting.
See.
All right. So are you entertained? What have you been watching?
What have I been watching? I haven't had time to watch TV, man. I've been very busy at work. Like I literally haven't watched any TV recently.
No movies, no nothing?
Nothing, man. You saw what I was doing before the show started. I was grading
papers. What's a Johnny watching?
Johnny's been watching. He loves Spidey. We watch a lot of Spidey, man. Spider-Man's his guy. So The other day though, what did he wanted to watch Black Panther, the movie Black Panther, man. So I watched Black Panther with him. That is
First one, second one, both of them.
the first one with T'Challa.
Did you see number 2?
Of course.
Yeah, what did we talk about? What you think about number 2?
I thought it was good. I enjoyed it.
Okay. All right.
I thought it was good. I enjoyed it a lot.
Right.
It was just, it's way too, but like, it was very emotional, man. Like they God dang, like the whole family died. Like, the mom died, like everyone died.
Yeah, it was like it was an ongoing lump in the throat. Like it wasn't a lot of, it was a lot. It was
and
a
then,
lot.
it also had the hanging over us was our guy Chadwick. Rest in peace. So it's just a lot, man.
Yeah. It was good. It wasn't the powerhouse that the first one was, but I like they found a way to keep the story going, so the franchise didn't have to end with the passing of Chadwick Boseman. So it was good, but it still brought knowledge or perspective or insight to to especially bring in the Mayan some Latin history into the genre. So I'm interested to see how that continues to play out. All right, so you ain't watched much. You've been busy. I respect it. I have, for my birthday, I went to see D.L. Hughley. He did a set here in Austin. Well, he more than one set. He was here in Austin for the weekend. And, to know how long he's been in the game, I wasn't sure what I was going to get, but brother killed it. He killed it. And I was kind of at the 50-yard line, if there was a 50-yard line of the stage. And I was, it's a small venue, so he could probably see everybody. And I wasn't sure if he still was giving the audience business or not, but he was still giving the audience the business. So I was on edge, but he didn't come to me. He got the dude that was right here. And he honed in on him for like 35 minutes. He went to this person, came back to do, went to that person, came back to do. But overall, hell of a show. I laughed from start to finish. So that was good. And you know how much I love comedy. So it was good to see him. That was my first time seeing him. So I've seen Sed, I've seen DL, I've seen Chris Tucker, I've seen Chris Rock, seen Dave Chappelle. So I've kind of those that are still around doing it, I've seen almost everybody that I really, really do enjoy. All right. So what have you been listening to?
The same shit I always listen to, man. AT Aliens. 13th floor, grown old, elevators.
So let me ask this. You say the same thing. So is that your start the day, middle of the day, and end of the day music? How do you infuse?
Well, it depends, man. Like,
Aliens?
it's my chill music. It's always going to be some kind of Outcast. But like, if I want energy, like, I play Energy by Drake. Like, so it hypes you up. Before I got on the show, I was listening to Stay Scheming by Rick Ross and Drake. And I was telling my wife, man, I wonder if Kobe was like, hey, man, take that line out. That's not helping my situation. Bitch, you would with me shooting in the gym. I'm like, Kobe. I think Kobe was like, no. Rest in peace, Kobe, man.
Rest in peace, Kobe. Yeah,
man.
I'm sure they didn't give him permission to do it. I'm sure he didn't give them.
Find the Grammy performances from yesterday, man. I saw the God did performance. Them boys. I
didn't. I didn't see any of the Grammys either. I'm this close to getting the Paramount trial just to get to it, but
just we'll see. Password. I got you.
We'll see.
I got the password. Don't get the trial. I got it. I
don't know if you're supposed to say that out loud, but that's okay. I'll hit you up.
This ain't Netflix. You see what Netflix did to people.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want Paramount and CBS at your door. But the date that hip hop started in my mind was 78, 79, but they celebrated 50 years of hip hop. So that would say 73, based on, what they're tracking to. So it prompted a question. And because I this weekend was listening to 2 Chainz, Pretty Girls Like Trap Music, the Pink album. And it prompted me to think, in my collection, feel how anybody might about 2 Chainz, but in my collection of albums, that's a 5 mic album, right?
You lost your damn mind.
That's a 5 in my collection, my opinion, from an album from start to finish that I'm in love with, that I could play on repeat as soon as I finish it. What I like is what I like, that's my business. But 2 Chainz, a 5 mic album. And then I don't know what took me here, but I ended up listening to, not all of it, but a good part of Crazy Sexy Cool. And
I listen to that
TLC,
album all the time, man.
that's a 5 mic album, right? For me.
That's
a
better than 2
5 mic
Chainz's album. Yes.
But so what are some of the 5 mic albums in your collection?
Both of Biggie's albums, Tupac's All Eyes on Me. Outkast to me, got 3 of my AT-Aliens and Aquemini to me are like my favorite Outkast albums.
But I give their first 4 albums, for me, I give 5 mics too. I know they won the Grammy for the double CD, but Southern Playalistic, AT-Aliens, Aquemini, Staying On Ya, Musical Paradise.
Yeah, I love all the albums, but to me, man, I'm gonna be very like, if you tell me 5-star or 5 mic, I'll be very selective. Who else would I put on that level, man?
Reasonable Doubt, no?
For sure. Reasonable Doubt, The Blueprint, the Black Album. I love all 3 of those. I would
give the Black Album 5.
I love the Black Album.
But the announcement, is that the name of it? Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is
Public Service.
That's Public Service. Oh, that's a 5 mic song.
But the like December 14th, where he's like, the beat is the tapping on the table is so hard to me too. Like he just got bangers in that album, in my opinion.
He does.
What else, man? Ice Cube.
Okay.
Like Ice Cube, to our friend.
Which Ice Cube? No, which Ice Cube? 5 mics.
The one with No Vaseline. The name of the album skips me.
I'll look it up.
Please do. What else do I like, man? Dogs, like an album to me that I love is Common. It's like Water for Chocolate. Like, I love that album. I play that album all the time. Another 5
It was Death Certificate.
Album. Yeah, Death Certificate. Thank you. Lauryn Hill's album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, is to me easily a 5 mic album. Boys to Men, man.
I was gonna say,
sure.
Ray, you read my mind.
Sure.
Cooley High Harmony?
That is an absolute classic. Evolution is a great album.
I didn't even like. I often would skip the fast songs on the R&B album, and I would say the first few weeks to couple months that I had the Boys to Men, I did that. I just jumped to the ooh ah yesterday or whatever. But when I went back and just start from the album, musically, just the instrumentals on it, in addition to their harmony on their first album, was live. So yeah, that's a 5, Michael.
Yeah, the Boys to Men just makes albums that I love. If you want to go R&B, man, I love Drew Hill's first album. Like, I love With Beauty on it. They got some ballads on that album.
Yeah, I wouldn't give it 5, but it's good.
Beauty was her name. Love that album.
Thriller,
else?
Michael
Who
Jackson,
else?
Thriller, Usher,
Of course.
Usher,
Prince, Purple Rain.
what was Usher's album? Let It Burn. The one with Let It Burn. What was the name of that album? That album. That was one.
Let It Burn. I'm looking it up for you.
Yeah.
I like Usher. I can't say that
Confessions. The album Confessions. Confessions.
I can't say that I'm
a
fan. I can't sit there and listen to a whole Usher album.
Oh yeah. I'm an Usher fan. I could listen to a whole Usher album.
I respect the talent, but I just
that Confessions it goes there. Joe Nitty
but
put
Usher
Alicia Keys.
does have one of my absolute favorite R&B songs of all time, though.
What's
like
that?
he had a 10-star song to me with Nice and Slow, because the way Nice and Slow starts off, that take you back to them teenage years when you were fiending for it, baby. 7 o'clock on the dot, I'm in the drop top, cruising the streets.
Yeah, that's tight. That's tight. That's a
that
classic.
album.
That's a classic.
Love.
That's a classic. Joe Nitty put Alicia Keys in there. He put Alicia Keys in the chat. I'm assuming it's her first album. Was it My Diary? Maybe.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. Love it. Love it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. What have we not named that I would throw out there?
I mean, I'm sorry. Forgive me. Nas's Illmatic and Stillmatic, I both love. Nas has a lot of albums that I love too, but those two I like a lot. So I would put those up there, man. Illmatic was a game changer.
We got Pac, Biggie, Outkast. Oh, The Chronic and Doggy Style. The Chronic and Doggy Style. 5 mics. Snoop.
Yes.
To just that time period in music history, we're fortunate to have been alive to get The Chronic.
Put all 3 of Kanye's first albums up there.
Man,
like, I
played College Dropout this weekend too.
Like all the time.
Oh man, DMX, Joe Nitty, DMX, his first album. DMX's
It's Dark and Hell is
album.
Hot. It's Dark and Hell is Hot.
Yeah, is that the first one?
Mm-hmm.
What was the second one? Blood of My Blood.
Blood of My Blood.
Yeah,
where he had all the blood falling off his body.
The album was hot too now, especially to have it come out in a year's time. But it's Dark as Hell is Hot. That's 5 mics.
Not as good as that.
Yeah. What about Wu-Tang, Method Man? We leaving something?
To me,
that's your genre.
Wu-Tang, if you ask me to give you 2 5-star albums for the Wu-Tang, the first one would be Enter the 36 Chambers. The other one to me, man, is, in my opinion, is not in dispute, is their greatest album. And it's not the whole group, but to me, if you ask me what is the greatest Wu-Tang album ever put together, Raekwon and Ghostface, their first album together, Only Built for Cuban Links, is an absolute classic.
Okay.
The skill of their rhymes and if you've never heard Verbal Intercourse with Nas, I recommend you just stop what you're doing now and play Verbal Intercourse and just check out Nas's verse. It's so hard.
I got one more edition in my collection. I don't care what nobody else say, but Goody Mob Soul Food.
Hell yeah.
That goes. That's 5 mics.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's without a doubt to me. I would put Good City Mad Kid up there. I love that album.
Ooh, well, you bring me forward that and Damn, that stayed on for a year. That Damn 5 mics. Yeah.
America's Most Wanted 2 by Cube is a hard ass album.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't give 5 mics, but it's good.
He's good, man. Like Cube is so.
Yeah,
I feel one of our frat brothers absolutely loves Ice Cube, and I feel his anger because he is never brought up in these discussions or given the props that he probably should be given as a rapper.
I can't speak to something shifted in the music, in the game, in the musicianship, and then how he spit on it, because that what he did with the three when he had the group with the West Side Connect, like that wasn't, you know, the Ice Cube that I came to grow and love. Not, and I can't tell you why. It didn't hit me the same way. But for me, whenever I go to anything NWA and Cube is on it, and those early albums with Cube, it's like the ferocity at which he spit, the way he still so clearly articulates his words and the imagery that he creates in your mind without he don't use a lot of wordsmithing and wordplay like Biggie did, but he got on the beat, he had something to say, and he just kicked it. So I don't know why he doesn't make it on more of the top MC lists. Maybe the downfall or the shift was that significant. But whenever I hear Q from, you know, mid to earlier 90 something,
I gave, like, I'm a Common fan, so I gave you like Water for Chocolate. I also love the album B by Common, man.
that was a tight album. It was a tight album.
Oh, it's not just tight, dog. That is a beautiful album. If y'all never heard that,
I had to
album,
play it again. I liked
album.
it. It stayed on. It had bangers and it stayed on repeat. But you know,
what else? What else? What else, man? There's so many good, like so many talented musicians. What was the name of the album, dog?
Oh, 400 Degrees. That's 5 mics. That's 5 mics.
I love
I don't
400 Degrees, but to me, it's more. There's certain songs on there I love more than I would never let that just run.
Oh,
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
I wouldn't.
Oh,
I wouldn't. You know, you ain't mentioned no Lil Wayne albums, no Drake.
I don't have no 5 mic Drake. Lil Wayne, which Carter was it with Miss Officer? And
the third or the fourth?
Whichever Carter that had Miss Officer and Lollipop, 5 mics. That album was hot.
You know, it's another fire album. Dog, Mos Def and Talib Kweli, their Black Star album was hard.
Yeah, I
Their
mean
Black
that was.
Star album was hard.
I heard tracks from that. I don't know that I ever like.
I think you should give that a
album,
full listen, bro.
But they as a group were hot, and you know every time they flirt with coming back and doing something, I'm always interested to hear that. And then UGK, Dirty Money, for me, that album, pivotal point in my life. Ego really starting to decide what it is and isn't, and that album just it is raunchy. I won't let my son listen to that one. He listened to Ye, he listened to Nas, Outkast, but I can't let him listen to the Dirty Money. But that get 5 mics. All right. What anything else you want to add? Anything?
Not that I get. I mean, there's so many good R&B albums. I feel like we're leaving out.
Oh yeah, Mary J. My Life. Mary J. My Life.
There's so many good R&B albums.
You know, Maxwell. He's my favorite modern current, but I don't know that he got a 5 mic album. Erykah Badu, the one with Bag Lady on it. That yeah, that's 5 mics. Mama's Gun. That's what Mama's Gun. 5. I get that.
Michael Jackson got a lot more. Probably 5 mic albums than we're giving him credit for.
I mean, Thriller and Bad, because I love the span of music, but Thriller is when my Michael Jackson journey kind of started. So Thriller for sure, ain't nothing nobody could say about Thriller. But then everything else, I might be more in the 4.5 range.
D'Angelo's Brown Sugar to me is an awesome album.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know some folks that love that Voodoo album, but
I love the Brown Sugar album, man.
Yeah, I was more Brown Sugar.
Forever My Lady by Jodeci was a great album.
It had great slow jams, but I ain't listening to none of them other ones after that.
They had a lot of good slow jams on that album. Though.
The Hotel, their last group album, the show.
Shit, I like the Casey and JoJo album. The first one, I like that album
The
a
show
lot.
After Party in the Hotel, is that how it go? But that one, that was live. I don't know. I got to think about Five Mics. The Casey and JoJo. Yeah, that first one was good. That was the first one. The first Casey JoJo.
The second one was absolute trash. When they had that Fee, Fi, Fo, Fum song, I was like, what the fuck are we doing? Sorry, Joe. I know you gotta edit that out. But that Fee, Fi, Fo, Fum song, I was like, I don't know what's going on here. I think that's when they started doing drugs. It was like, yeah.
No, it started before that. It started.
Yeah, Fee, Fi, Fo, Fum, that's the one.
All right. Well, I think suffice to say,
Two by Boys to Men, the one that had Thank You and Water Runs Dry and Bended Knee. I already said Purple Rain by Prince. Dog, we didn't even mention a Whitney Houston album.
Well, I didn't listen to a lot of albums, songs. Janet Jackson, Whitney, I didn't just have their albums and play them. You know what I'm saying?
Shoot. Off the Wall by Michael Jackson had Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, Rock
Right,
With You.
but that's I got my cousin, if it's Off the Wall or Thriller, she choose Off the Wall. That'll be her 5 mic album. I ain't dive. I know the songs, most of them, if not all of them, but I didn't dive into the album. Thriller, I lived Thriller.
Probably, dog, if you ask me, I don't know, man. The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is a really top notch. It'd be hard to top that album to me. So,
another one that you say Lauryn Hill, but the Fugees '96 album and Wyclef's The Carnival. That Carnival was fire.
Yeah,
I would gotta give the Carnival
album over that. Only problem with the Fugees album, dog, is, to me, it's the 5 mic album. The problem was they let Pras rap. They shouldn't have just made it a two-person group.
Carnival, I get that 5 mics. I love that album. I love the Carnival. That's
the one where with November.
I think so, and then he got a couple Haitian tracks down on the back end, but that it's a bunch of stuff on the Carnival. I might have to pull that one out and play that. I ain't played the Carnival in a while.
I mean, Wyclef is a super talented musician. And another album that's 5 mic to me, even though it's a compilation album, is Legend by Bob Marley.
That's fair.
Easy. Redemption song is one of the best songs of all time.
Let's keep it moving. Before we get up out of here, what have you been reading? Before we keep it moving,
man, I'm gonna show y'all something y'all don't see anymore, man. Just so y'all know. This is a CD.
You doing show and tell?
Done.
Tell us what CD that is.
This is the artwork for AT Aliens, man. And it's just crazy. Like, Kamaria, my wife, found this, and this brought up a lot of memories, man. Just a lot of memories. Happy that she still has this. I feel like, I don't know, man. We need to put this in like a frame or something, Carlton, and put it up somewhere around the house.
We got to see maybe the album. I got to see if they have it on vinyl and get a bigger image. But yeah, all right.
Awesome. LaFace Records, 1996.
That was a good year. That was a good year for me and Joe Nitty.
Shoot, 1994 might have been the greatest year in hip hop history, man.
Might be. We probably got to bring that back on the show one of these days.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What have you been reading?
Excuse me, I think I'm coming down with the cold. About the American Revolution, man. That's what I'm teaching my students, so that's what I've been focusing on.
Any new insights to share?
Any new insights to share? In a country that was built by protest, they sure seem to get mad when the colored folks protest. That's my insight.
Okay. That's something.
In a country that was built by protest, they sure seem to get upset when the colored folk protest.
Mm-hmm.
So, the other interesting part, man, is like, there's always been this notion that kind of like to excuse slavery, kind of like everyone was doing it. It was just part of those times. And, kind of like they didn't know any better, which is obviously bullshit. But, who penned the Declaration of Independence, Carlton? Who the main author of the Declaration of Independence was?
Tell us.
Thomas Jefferson, third president of the United States. It was supposed to be John Adams, but John Adams recognized that Jefferson was a better writer than him, so he passed on the task to him. And he, along with Adams, Ben Franklin, and two other gentlemen, they gave us the Declaration of Independence, which on paper sounds good, all men are created equal, all that shit. So,
et cetera, et cetera.
But a part about the Declaration that I feel like a lot of people in America don't know is there's a section in the Declaration. There was, when Jefferson's original draft, like when he's reading it to the other founding fathers, right? The other 56 gentlemen that are about to sign this one day, he has a part in there on slavery. And in that part in there on slavery, he talks about how immoral slavery is, how wrong slavery is, how slavery was forced on them by the king, and that's why they're engaging in this horrible slave trade and whatnot. Blaming it on the king was a bunch of crap, because Georgia, the state of Georgia, where I live now, was a colony started by the British, and it was started as a non-slave colony. Slavery was actually forbidden in Georgia when it was chartered by the king. It was forbidden. And so that part of it wasn't true. But when he reads this part, everybody's looking at Jefferson and is like, what the hell are you talking about right now? Thomas, almost everyone in this room owns slaves, and no one owns more slaves than you. Why would you put this into the Declaration? And so everybody quickly tells him that he needs to scrap that part, and they get rid of it. But this belief that they didn't know it was immoral is silly. It's silly. They always knew it was immoral. To hold another man as your property in bondage is never moral. Whether we're having this discussion today, or we get in a time machine and we go 400.
We lost Uncle Mo. All right, so we'll keep moving. He'll have to update us on the American Revolution next time. But what I'm reading is, I got several books happening at the same time: book club, personal book, coaching practice books. But the one I'm sharing today, or just going to reference today to check out, is Falling Upwards by Richard Rohr. It's a book. It's spiritually based. He is in his past, or in his journey, he has been in the religious faith. He's been a religious teacher, Catholic Church. He's spent some time with monks, et cetera, et cetera. So it's he is not a faith-based book per se. It's not trying to convince anybody to pursue a particular religious practice, but he used his faith-based experience and references several chapters, passages from the Bible, really just to help articulate the concept of the first half, the two halves of our lives. The first half typically attributed to youth, typically attributed to maturity level, and what the relevancy of that journey is in leading into the second half of life. Not dictated by age, middle age, typically 40-something, 45, but it's not given. You got people in their 70s that haven't started their second half of life. But needless to say, Falling Upwards is about these two halves and the importance that they hold for each other. In the short version, the first half is where the ego is formed, that the aspects of it that you need, and the second half is you overcoming the ego and learning how to live in your passion wherever you are, whatever you're doing. So good book, good read. Shout out to the AHA Book Club, because that's the book that we're doing. And I actually facilitate the discussion tomorrow, so I need to go to bed tonight so I can be ready. We'll take a break and be right back to close out the show. good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
And it will be so sweet, America. It will be so sweet. And all that heartache will go away.
To our president.
You got to see the
That's
monster to
crazy
be able
what
to
he
destroy
did.
the
He
monster.
took the military out before he took the civilians. Who does that?
Under his watch.
Welcome back, this Unsolicited Genius. Sorry we lost Uncle Mo mid-sentence, but he's still here. He's still around. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow. That's how we grow. That's how we make sure everybody can hear, experience what you're hearing, seeing, and experiencing. Don't always do this, but want to make sure to do it. Shout out to Joe Nitty, fabulous producer. Is available for hire if you got any music projects, any sounds that you need to add to some motions or emotions. But all that we are, all that we do here with Unsolicited Genius would not be possible without Joe Nitty, our voice in the cloud. Thank you to our sponsors, Legacy Wear. Your legacy awaits at www.legacywearus.com. Special thanks to Megacore CBD, broad spectrum hemp derived CBD, the way nature intended. Can find them at www.megacorecbd.com. Special thanks to Aura Rainwater, hydrate and elevate at www.aurarainwater.com. Without the sponsors, well, I won't even say without the sponsors, because of the sponsors, we're able to do what we do. So we thank y'all for your support. We thank y'all for your mission, because as entities of your own, you out there doing things for the peoples. So thank you for your support. All right, tonight's Thoughts of Genius. Last week, I ended with saying this does not have to be our lives, and I was specifically talking about what had transpired in the show. We talked about the Memphis Police and Tyree Nichols. And so I thought I'd come back around just to say why it does not have to be our lives. First and foremost, whoever you are, whatever you're doing, wherever you may be doing it, you have a choice. You have the ability to make choices. Not always easy choices, not always straightforward choices, but you have the ability to say no at any time. You have the ability to say yes to whatever is your heart's desire. There may be people, places, and things that resist that, people, places, and things that don't like that. But if it's your choice and you're doing it from a place of love, a place of honor, let that be their problem. Another reason that this does not have to be our lives is there is help. You know, there's been a lot of dialogue in regard to the mindset of the Memphis police that brutally beat, and ultimately murdered Tyree Nichols. We know that the job is stressful. We know that they don't get paid the way they need to be paid. We know that the demands that are placed on their lives are extreme. But they are not alone. You are not alone. We are not alone. There are resources, there are places where even if you don't know what's wrong, that you can go to and say, I need help. As you all know, my profession is that of coaching. Specifically, I am a personal professional life coach. I help people, maybe not in specific crisis. That is not my modality, therapy, psychology, psychiatry is there for people in crisis, but you also have social workers, you have community groups, you have resource groups, you have affinity groups, you have mentors, coaches, counselors, therapists, teachers. There's a list, there's a Rolodex. If you know what a Rolodex is, hopefully nobody's still using the Rolodex, but there's a Rolodex of resources available for anybody that is struggling in life. But to be in the struggle, you do have to make the choice to seek the support. You do have to make the choice to ask. You do have to make the choice to raise both your hands and say, I can't do this. I need help. And then third reason that I believe, one of the reasons that we don't, the third reason that I believe this does not have to be our lives. It's not an all-inclusive list. I'm just giving you three. We have choice, there's help. The third one on this list is the outcomes from the vulnerabilities of love feel better than the outcomes of fear-driven behavior. Fear-driven behavior is one predicated on hate. Fear-driven behavior causes pain. Fear-driven behavior means that somebody, something has to lose. Vulnerability is inherent in love. You love somebody, you lose somebody, it hurts. Love comes with risk. Love comes with taking chances. Very true. But the things that you do predicated on love, however they play out, are always going to feel better and result in better outcomes than the behaviors driven by fear. And Tyree Nichols would be alive if somebody that night chose love. It's not easy, but it is available to us all. We do not have to live like this. The state of our union does not have to be this way. And on that, I say good morning, good afternoon, good night. This has been another episode of Unsolicited Genius. We'll catch you next week, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. Same Genius time, same Genius channel.
You are listening to Craig D, Mo Lot. You are listening to Unsolicited Genius.